Welcome to Arthur Road and glorious Wimbledon Park. Actually, speaking of parks, this walk is largely going to be within a park, but quite an interesting park. Let's take a look. We're turning into Home Park Road, which will take us up to Wimbledon Park itself. Now, I don't wish to become too wistful, but school holidays when I was very young all seem to be like today, gloriously sunny, warm and full of fun. Of course, that's just our memory playing tricks. When I were a lad, it was the 1960s, and those summers were actually quite cool and cloudy compared with these days. But the full of fun memory was real. My working mum and working dad entrusted my sister and I to summer clubs, which looked after us some holiday weekdays. I remember a lot of water being involved, some pet rabbits, and some competitions. Anyway, we were kept busy for the whole day. And Wimbledon Park, on such a day as this, reminded me of those far-off summer holidays. We're just about to enter the glorious Wimbledon Park. But before we do, let's get an overview. This was originally the grounds of Wimbledon Manor House. In the 18th century, the grounds were turned into a private park, Wimbledon Park, and they were landscaped by Capability Brown. As part of this remodelling, the lake was formed by constructing a dam across a local brook. The lake is a major feature of the modern park. In the 19th century, Wimbledon Park was at its largest extent, and the stately home here was one of the homes of the Earls Spencer, Lords of the Manor. In 1846, the fourth Earl Spencer sold the house and estate to John Augustus Beaumont. He was a property developer, and he laid out some new roads and sold house building plots. Development began to eat away at the park, but the park was saved by its purchase, along with a nearby golf course, just before the First World War, by the borough of Wimbledon. Later in the 20th century, the local authority sold the golf course to the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Wimbledon Park now boasts 27 hectares in area, and it hosts a wide range of leisure facilities, including a bowls pavilion, beach volleyball court and an outdoor water sports centre. There's also an athletics stadium with a 400-metre track. But, given what's nearby, tennis courts are a major feature. Let's take a walk through the park on a beautiful August day. The kids are out of school on their summer holidays, and there's lots of things to do in the park. As we turn into Revelstoke Road and leave the park, we are entering what is, these days, called Southfields. The area didn't really have a name until the arrival of the railway in 1889. Southfield had been the name of a large field in the manor of Dunsford. The equivalent Northfield lay between West Hill in Wandsworth and the River Thames. Southfield is marked on the 1870 Ordnance Survey map. I'm marking here where Southfield Station would eventually be built. There's a little bit of Victorian development along Merton Road in 1870, but with no nearby railway station, the area remains countryside. There was other speculative road building. Augustus Road and Beaumont Road here dated from the 1840s, but they had not attracted much development by the time of the 1870 map. If we were to note the major feature of the area, it is the River Wandle. Despite the otherwise rural setting, noxious industry lines the banks. Rather interesting on this map are some names. In 1846, the 4th Earl Spencer sold the Wimbledon Park estate to John Augustus Beaumont, a property developer. He laid out new roads and sold plots of land for house building. The 2 roads mentioned just now still bear his name today. Development of the area was slow at first, but continued throughout the second half of the 19th century, gradually nibbling away at the parkland. There is still a Wimbledon Park farm along Merton Road, and north along the same road are 4 semi-detached houses called Ashen Villas. They back onto a woodland informally named Ashen Grove. But on the 1870 map, the woodland is not actually marked with a name. Let's skip forward 30 years. The woodland is now marked with the informal name. Wimbledon Park Farm has been renamed after the wood and is now called Ashen Grove Farm. The 1900 map is showing other changes. Southfield Station has arrived. Proximity to the station is finally encouraging development of Augustus Road and Beaumont Road. Wimbledon Park itself is getting a bit hemmed in. The River Wandle area is further urbanising. I'll zoom in here, putting Southfield Station at the top of the map. Replingham Road stretches east here, and speculators have built 3 roads. Elsenham Street, Haythorpe Street and Brookwood Road, with just a few houses. By 1905, the so-called Southfields grid had been laid out. The grid is a series of parallel roads running from Revelstoke Road in the south to Replingham Road in the north. It consists almost entirely of Edwardian terraced houses. Let's see the modern map of the area. If you remember that name, Ashen Grove Wood. Well, all trace of the woodland is buried under the housing of the Southfields grid. But Ashen Grove is now the name of a road. How London streets get their names is sometimes quite contrived. The boundary of the London boroughs of Merton and Wandsworth runs down the centre of Revelstoke Road, meaning that bin days can be different, depending upon whether your house has an odd or even number. And having left the glorious Wimbledon Park on the walk before the history lesson, let's return to Revelstoke Road. Well, I hope you enjoyed the AI version of me. That was very 2024. I had such a long piece of text to read, and when I was reading it with the script in front of me, I kept falling over all the names I had to use. So if you thought my voice was a bit flat just there, well, that was why.
She knows who you are.
quite a long walk up Elsenham Street, but it's a lovely sense of community here. I had to cut out some of the film because it involved kids, but some neighbours were organising a late summer barbecue. And up ahead is Southfields, and just after you turn left into Replingham Road, you reach Southfields Station, which is where we end the walk. Just to demonstrate that you should never assume anything when making historical videos. I just noticed on the 1750s map by John Rock that Ashen Grove was a well-established name. And not, as I said, just the informal name for a local wood.